Alright, so here's the second makeup video. This is the Revenger's Tragedy. Alright, written by Thomas Middleton, who's born 1580 and died in 1627. He was active between 1603 and 1624, and he had an equal reputation, like Shakespeare, as a comedian and tragedian. It is thought that, along with Shakespeare, he wrote Time of Athens, and one of the plays that's described as Shakespeare, but in his like closet plays, the ones that are, I can't pronounce the word. It's, I think, Acrophia. Um, the plays that aren't regarded as excellent, Yorkshire tragedy. Um, then so Thomas Middleton's inspiration for this play and his tragedies came primarily from Seneca, um, and the first generation of the Renaissance writers, like Thomas Kidd. It's important to see there's a difference in Jacobean tragedy as opposed to Elizabethan. Often there's more corruption in them, and they're more critical as opposed to flattering. And I do see some connections between this play and The Alchemist as critiques of Jacobean society, and the same goes for certain Shakespeare plays, but I'll mainly be talking about this compared to Alchemist. This wasn't until much later attributed to Middleton. It was anonymous and then attributed to Cyril Tourneur. Then is eventually attributed to Middleton. So background, the Jacobean king James was not as favored as Elizabeth, and the play kind of dwells on the corruption of the Jacobean world and the decline in the Renaissance. Unlike most of the plays I've read from this era, this play was not revived until the 20th century. One of the earliest performances was in 1965. But this play was written in 1606 in England, and as I said, it's a Jacobean tragedy, revenge tragedy. And these revenge tragedies are very popular. So the play begins with Vendus brooding his father who's in death, and his desire for revenge on the Duke for poisoning his lover 9 years before, and he's holding a skull, and that's kind of a parallel to Hamlet with the skull. You're right. Anyway, Vendus's brother, Hippolito, brings news that, I can't pronounce this guy's name for the life of me. I think it's Luceriso. Yeah, I think that's it. And he asked him to find a pander, which is like a pimp, basically, because there's this young virgin that he's after. And he sees this as an opportunity to act against the Duke, so he disguises himself as this pander. And meanwhile, one of the lords, Antonio, his wife has been raped, and the new Duchess's youngest son is on trial for the crime. And he admits to it, but the Duke suspends the proceedings and defers that the court's judgment be held later date. So he basically tries to save his ass. As they take him away, his brothers, Ambitioso and Supervaco, whisper that they're gonna try to get him free. And the Duchess, who's the second wife of the Duke, the mother to all three of these boys, except for Lucericio, who is her stepson, who has to be unfaithful to the Duke. And Spurio, that's the bastard son of the Duke, so half brother to Lucario, and I guess half step brother to, well, I guess step brother to the other three boys, and agrees to be the lover of the Duchess. But when he's alone, he declares that he hates her and her sons, as he hates the Duke and Lucario. So in this character, I do see he hates everyone, and I do see a bit of Edmund from King Lear in him. I'll talk about that in a bit. But Bendis is now disguised as Piatto, and is accepted by Lucericio, who tells him that the Virgin is actually Castisa, which is Castisa, who is Bendis' sister. And he predicts that the mother will accept a bribe to be a bod to her own daughter. And when Bendis is alone, he vows to kill Lucericio, but meanwhile he stays in disguise and puts his mother and sister to the task, tempting them. Elsewhere, Antonio's wife has committed suicide, and Antonio displays her body to mourners, and Hippolyto swears to get revenge for her death. Savannah is still in disguise, tests the virtue of his mother and sister. Castisa is resolute, but the mom yields an offer of gold. And then just gives Lucericio the false news that Castisa's resistance to his advance is kind of crumbling. So Lucericio resolves he must sleep with her that night. So Spurio rushes away. Spurio is the bastard. Rushes away to kill Lucericio. A moment later, Lucericio himself enters on his way to Castisa, but then just warns him that Spurio is betting the Duchess. So, angered, he goes to find Spurio. And in that scene, he bursts into the royal chamber, finding the father of the Duke, with the Duchess, and he's arrested for attempting treason. And so Hippolyto and Bendis withdraw, and Vitioso and Super Vacchio, they pretend reluctance to see this guy being executed, and once they go away, the Duke pretty much orders that his son be released. But these guys obey the Duke's instruction, and they go and order that he be executed. Before they arrive, he's freed, and when they get there, they say, no, the Duke's son has to be executed. So the guards misinterpret this, and they kill the youngest son, that's Junior, the one who raped Antonio's wife, who's being held. Meanwhile, Bendis is hired as a painter again, this time for the Duke himself, and his plan is to procure the Duke this unusual lady. And he uses the skull of Bendis' lover and covers it in poison. And the meeting is in this dark place near where the Duchess is meeting with Spurio. The Duke kisses this lady and is horrified when the truth is revealed that he's been poisoned by Bendis as he watches the Duchess with Spurio. And then those two brothers, Mbutioso and Supervacchio, learn that their younger brother is the one that was killed. So Lucercio tells Hippolyto to get rid of Piotto, and that's the name of Vendus in disguise, and he asks if Vendus will replace him as Pander. And Hippolyto sends, and he realizes that Lucercio wouldn't recognize Vendus without disguise. And accordingly, Vendus gets a mission to kill Piotto himself. So, I'll tell you exactly what they're about to do. But meanwhile, Supervacchio tries to kill, the Duchess and Sporio, and the brothers, take a knife to their mother's head. That's, Hippolito and, Vendus. And then Hippolito and Vendus take the corpse of the Duke and dress it in Piotto's clothes, so that when the corpse is found, it'll be assumed that it's Piotto who's murdered by murder instead. And this is successful. And then Vendus assembles a group of nobles for an uprising, and shortly after, all these people attack each other, and Vendus and Hippolyto survive, but Antonio finds out what is going on, and he sentences them to death. So, yeah, interesting play. So, talking about the characters, let me go with the ones who have Latin names. Vendus means revenge. In this play, he kills Lucercio and the Duke. His alter ego, Piotto, means hidden. So, yeah. Castisa means chastity, and that's the Virgin Sister. She is a symbol of good within a play full of evil. Grapnia, the mother, means grace, easily bought by gold, and just, she has some ulterior motives to her. These three things means luxurious and lecherous. Ambicioso means ambitious, and he kills Supervacchio. Spario is Sparius and means bastard, kills Supervacchio. Incestuous, actually, he's very incestuous, and I'll talk about that in a sec. Supervacchio means superfluous and vain. Other characters, Hippolito is the man who kills the Lord and is the right-hand man of Vendus. The Duke has been an adulterer several times, killed the lover of Vendus. The Duchess is also an adulterer, and she's incestuous. Junior is a rapist, and I just like the name Junior. I love that he's called Junior in this way. He's killed by execution. Antonio has his wife raped, and he puts the revengers to death. He is I'll talk about the parallels to other characters in other plays, and then there's a guy called the Fourth Man who kills Ambicioso. So, Vendus is basically like, Hieronymo, Hamlet, well, Hieronymo's not a young man, actually. I wouldn't say. I say Vendus is more like Hamlet. Vendus is the young man who avenges the death of someone by killing an older man, which is very common revenge tragedy. Hippolito is, I I do see a bit of. I mean, he's a revenger. He wants to revenge for the death and rape of Antonio's wife. Ventus for the death of his beloved. And again, Chastisa is the ingenue of the play. Gratnia is kind of like John and your mother. The Duke and Duchess are the corrupt people in this play. The whole family is corrupt. All these characters, all the sons, Mauricio, Imbricio, Sporio, Junior, Supervacchio, all corrupt. And instead, Mauricio does well. Mauricio, all he wants is the virgin, so I wouldn't say he's corrupt. He has, but he does want to kill Vendas, so he wants to kill Piatto anyway. Pretty much everyone wants to kill each other in this play. Originally I'd written down that he's similar to Edgar, but then I changed my mind. I was like, Edgar is the one killing anyone, but Edgar does kill Edmund. So, Inspirio is like Edmund. Those secret characters actually didn't want to meet Edgar and Edmund. One's the good son, one's the bad son. Except Edgar doesn't die. Anyway, but, and the Duke has some Gloucester in him. His adulterous behavior. And casting out his son. Ultimately, I think this is actually written with the same year as King Lear. It might have been a year apart. I don't know if this was written the same year as King Lear. Ultimately, it wasn't like, I wouldn't say it was influenced by King Lear. I'd say that these were just popular topics that went on. Revenge was just revenge and brothers and all that. This was all common. I mean, brothers rivalry goes back to Cain and Abel in the Bible. So, and even, not that I can think of an example, but I'm sure there's Greek mythology. I guess sibling rivalry being a true thing is just common in literature and stories, and the whole thing with the bastard and stepsons and all this kind of stuff creates a different rivalry. The three themes that I put down for this play: revenge and justice. Definitely deals with Venus and Apollo seeking justice through revenge. And different characters trying to wrong ills by creating ills themselves. Another theme is love and lust. And there's a lot of sexual things going on with the Duke and the Duchess and Spario and Chestisa and Mauricio, and Junior and Antonio. There's a lot of rape, misogyny, adultery, incest. You get into morality and sin that kind of overlaps with adultery and misogyny and incest and the corruption of the family. And then this kind of takes me into how this is a satire for Jacobean times. the way taking down the Duke, the way taking down the royal family is portrayed, and that's why probably Middleton ranked not this for this play. It's a harsh critique of the Japanese king, King James, and the state, and I guess all who are in power, all the dukes and stuff, and how there was a downfall in the world from Elizabethan times to this world, and how there was a desire to remove this evil, this new system. And another thing that comes up in this play is usurping and family and power, and this all ties in with. So this and the whole thing with revenge and justice ties in with plays which is Tragedy, Macbeth, King Lear, Oedipus, Oresteia, and Medea, Antigone, Oedipus Rex. So many of these plays, both revenge plays and plays with usurping and stuff, all that kind of stuff comes up, and themes of incest and adultery also come up, and that connected with other plays. These were all morals, and these were all sins that just were always dealt with. Overall, very powerfully structured play. I will say the end is not well structured, just how there's like one line apart between the killings of Spurio and Super Bacchio and Invictuoso. There's just one line. There's no it's like die, die, die. It's just that I feel that Act 5, Scene 3 should have been longer and more developed, and certain scenes should have been more developed. I think the play could have been longer, and just it was structured well. It could have been deeper. It could have gone deeper into the topics. It did have really strong satirical undertones, which I appreciated, but I don't think there were any, other than Jesus, there weren't really any strong enough moral characters, and this doesn't that represent the opposite end of the spectrum, what should be. There's just so much kills, so much corruption, so much violence in this play that there isn't, other than Antonio, who steps in at the end, there's no real sense of clean justice. It pretty much does the same thing as Jackie Times, although I can say that maybe the reason why everyone's so violent is because the whole time's violent was everyone was corrupt. So I did want to connect this to The Alchemist. Alchemist deals with the more economic values of the Jacobean times and the critique of that. This way is more of a socio-political, that's socioeconomic, this is socio-political. So, I think both plays are dark critiques of the Jacobean era in different ways. One is a tragedy, one is a comedy, but they both go into the realm of satire. So, satirical tragedy and satirical comedy. So, and yeah, that's all I have for this play, and I will be making 2 more videos today, so we'll have that. Bye.